Meet Tango, the Archaeopteryx. He's a birdie dinosaur from Jurassic Germany, and he's famous for being the first bird. There were a few other birdie critters running around before he came on the scene, but he still keeps the title for being the first birdie thing ever discovered. Tango's a special one for me because he was the first critter introduced to Pete's Paleo Pet Shop. I shared his picture for the first time way back in May 2016, which was actually the second official post on the website. There were a couple of unofficial posts before that, but I'm not really counting those. He's long overdue for an update, and so my focus for this painting will be exploring textures, layers and clear silhouettes, and overall speed. I'll explain more in the video.
Pete's Paleo Pet Shop!
I already had a drawing I liked from the illustrations I made for my book, Dinosaurs Don't Play Fetch. So, I was able to use it as a rough sketch in the same way I started Opie's painting in the last video. This drawing was in a bit more of a realistic style than I want for Tango, so I changed up a few things before starting on the final lines. Something looked a little off about the foot on the original drawing, so I drew over my skeleton reference real quick to help me figure things out. Sort of. I'm still learning how to draw birdie feet from different angles, and Tango doesn't have the toe that points backwards like so many modern birds. After darkening the lines and the places of shadow, it's time for color. Tango's old illustration had a lot of blue because I was going for an iridescent look and was very much learning how to do that and didn't do it very well. There are some studies that look into possible colors for Archaeopteryx, and it looks like it may have had black on at least part of its body. It suggested that it might have been a matte black and not an iridescent black, but these studies are not exactly set in stone. There's a lot we do not understand, and these studies are mostly to ask questions and get the conversation started rather than having any sort of proof for feather color. In any case, it's probably a safe bet to think that Archaeopteryx had some kind of darker feathers somewhere on its body, like on its back or wings or something like that. So, depending on lighting, and also the structure of the feather, darker feathers can have a brown tint or a blue-black tint to them. I've seen starlings and grackles with both. Depending on whether the bird is male or female, or time of year, is it molting out old feathers, or is it fully grown versus juvenile? There's just so many variations, even in the same species. So, I'm giving Tango a simple dark brown color with some white, and a little bit of yellow for a bit of color, and a slight hint of iridescence when the light catches his feathers just right. For a nice feather texture, I used a brush on Procreate called Old Brush. Kind of like whenever I'm painting fur, I start with a darker color and then layer lighter colors over it. And then the brush's texture really does a lot of the work for me. When drawing the background, I am focusing on basic layers, the background, the middle ground, and the foreground. So I paint the background first. These are going to be big, blotchy shapes, kind of lighter in color and kind of faded into the background just a bit. More suggestion of shapes than anything else. And then in the middle ground, that's where I'm going to have most of my detail, because that's where my character is at. So here I really played with more firm silhouettes and textures with different brushes, and really looking at my reference photos to try and get that rocky look, and also get the silhouette of the tree in the background and the texture of the bark and the way the branches kind of interlace with each other. This time I really tried to work with cleaner silhouettes so that they're easier to see at a glance. I also looked up several different kinds of desert ferns, because there are several kinds of ferns that are pretty well adapted to being in a desert or drier type of environment. And Tango lived in a place that was an island archipelago, and apparently it didn't get a whole lot of rain. So the trees that would have grown on these islands were short, stubby, shrubby type of trees, and whatever ferns were there, because there wasn't any grass, so there's got to be some kind of ground cover, right? Probably would have been the drought tolerant type. And then we have the really dark silhouette of the foreground to kind of frame everything, kind of give a sense of depth. And now it's time for shadows. Whenever I first drew this, I thought the light would be coming from above and to the left, but I changed my mind and decided he'd be in a nice open patch of sunlight where the light is coming from the right-hand side, so that it's really lighting up his face nicely. And once I get the overall big blocks of shadow, then I can erase areas of that shadow to show where the light is hitting. Even though there is light falling on the plants in front of Tango here, in front of this rock, I don't want to call too much attention to it because that would call too much attention away from Tango. And so there's lots of little dappled shadows from the bushes and stuff that are in front of them, with just a few bits of brightness where the light hits just right. And with how detailed and nicely lit everything else was, Tango was looking a little plain. So I gave him just a little hint of iridescence so that he's not completely washed out. Add a little more blue to his feathers to give him more of a black look. And I think the light and the hints of iridescence really helped to polish it off. And we're done. All in all, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, especially with being a contest to see how fast I could do it while still being detailed and not being sloppy. I really like the texture of the rocks that I managed to pull off. I had a lot of fun with the silhouette of the tree in the background there with all the branches interlacing with each other and how the shadows and the lights kind of play there with those textures. And I like having a variety of different ferns and shapes, and I like adding those details. It's been really helpful to start each painting with a goal in mind on what I want to work on. I think that's really helping me to improve faster over time. Of course, it still takes time because any skill that we try to work on, it's going to take a lot of time and effort. But I think compared to not having a goal, I'm having more paintings where I actually like the end result. And I'm really happy with the end result, more so than paintings that turn out to be kind of flops. Now, I'll be taking a bit of a break from doing detailed paintings like this for a little while, maybe a couple of months or so, because I am very, very pregnant, and little baby Saurus is due to pop out sometime at the end of December or right at the beginning of January to welcome the new year. So I'll have my hands quite full with not only the 5 children I already have, but baby number 6. So having a newborn in the house again is going to be interesting and will certainly keep me busy. But I have a plan to come out with some kind of video at least once a month. I will try my very best. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this journey with me. See you next time.